Hello, guys, and welcome to Eye on the Storm. I am thrilled to see you. This is a talk show about Heroes of the Storm, Blizzard's hero brawler. If you've never seen it before, welcome for the first time. And where have you been? And we've missed you, even though we've never met you before. Glad you're here. I'm Anna Prosser Robinson. This is my co-host, Gillyweed.
Hi guys, I'm Gillyweed. We're really excited to have you here as always. And this is Eye on the Storm. Anna and I started this show because we wanted to become Heroes of the Storm casters. And even though we've gotten to that point, we are still running the show because we love bringing on guests like these two fabulous gentlemen here who we'll be introducing you to very soon. And we bring on guests to talk about the game. We've got a big night for you guys as we do have a brand new patch that dropped on Tuesday. But of course, we'll also have a play session as well to end it. And we are on the Misscliks channel too. Anna, why don't you tell us a little bit about why Misscliks is so awesome?
Sure, yeah, Misscliks is our host network, if you will, and they are all about providing support and exposure to female role models in geek and gaming culture with the ultimate goal of a safe, secure, welcoming, awesome, opportunity-filled geek and gaming culture online. And we're happy to be a part of that, and we're happy to invite our friends here to be a part of that. We only have one name on our overlay because we weren't sure if we were going to have a wild Kubi appear or not, but you probably recognize that guy from last week. But guys, why don't you introduce yourselves? Tell us who you are.
Sure. So I'm Matt, Steve McNeil, and I do a lot of stuff for Heroes, kind of in general. I run the Heroes subreddit, if you've ever been there, and I run a lot of stuff in the North American scene for competitive everything. So that's kind of my shtick. That's what I do. And yeah, I'm always around to talk about anything competitive for Heroes, so hit me up.
And I am the Kubi back from last week, so long time no see. But if you guys didn't catch the show last week, I am a community caster. I've been doing that for more than 6 months now at this point. You guys probably saw me last in the North American June Open. That was a lot of fun. We also have been running the Town Hall Heroes podcast for sometime more than a year now, so I've been busy with that. And that's pretty much the gist of it.
Yeah, you liked it so much last week that you came back for more, huh?
That's right. That's right.
What are you guys, before chat, what are you guys doing together? Why are you hanging out?
So I live on a beach, and it's the 4th of July coming up soon. And my town, how do I say this?
Legally.
Blows things up illegally. There's no real way of getting around it. Everybody in the town tends to pool in money for themselves and their houses, and we all go down to the beach and make our own fireworks show.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a really good time, and I try to get anybody I can to come down. And we live kind of close to each other, so I told them, I told them come down, and we'll have a good time this weekend.
That's
and
awesome.
you're kicking it off with fireworks here on Misscliks.
Ooh, nice.
I like that both of us did the exact same half-hearted firework hand motion.
I know, right? Yeah. That's
All
because
right.
it was half-hearted, because that joke was deserving of half-hearted.
Yeah. So, fireworks segue. Let's start our community session. So, guys, on the show, we have kind of two parts. We talk a little bit about the community, what's going on in the community, and we talk a little bit about what's going on in the game. And kind of both of those are talking about the patch in this episode. So, but let's start by talking about the new battleground, the Battlefield of Eternity.
Yeah, so Battlefield of Eternity is 2 lanes, but has a huge open space. What did you call it yesterday, Anna? Fighting area?
I think I called it a battle place at one point.
I
called it any variation of battle, middle, arena, place. That was all tied up together on Heroes.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect.
So the battle place.
Yeah, and in this battle place, there are 2 immortals. One is from the Hell's side, one from the Heaven's side, and they are duking it out. That's the objective of the battleground. And as they're duking it out, you can either try to save yours from your opponents who will be trying to attack you at the same time, or try to take down their immortal. And then if you win that battle, your immortal will push down a lane, kind of similar to the Haunted Mines with the Golem, except it pushes down the strongest lane. So it's not quite so snowball, you might say. It also has some new mercenaries, so that's pretty cool too. They're still called technically bruisers and siegers, but they are a bit different as well. And that's pretty much the gist of it. Right now we do have a limited pool of battlegrounds until July 7th. So only Tomb of the Spider Queen, Sky Temple, the Battlefield of Eternity, and Cursed Hollow, so you guys can check it out a lot more. What do you guys think of this map so far?
I'm just comparing it. You have to make the direct comparison to Haunted Mines. I think a lot of people will just downright immediately just go, yeah, this is a lot better. This is what Haunted Mines should have been. Like what was, felt like, they've been trying to tweak Haunted Mines a lot since they put it in the game. And it feels like this is probably what they should have arrived at. And it's just in its own map form.
Yeah. So I was lucky enough to play it before it came out. And when I know, right? When I played it, without even having to think about it, I was like, yeah, this is happening. And I immediately tweeted my my EU counterpart at ESL. I was like, we're replacing Haunted Mines with this map in competitive play because it's just so right. So I love it. Everything about the map is great. The battle for Middle Earth area is probably the most fun I've had in the game so far, just because I don't really like laning. I like doing like just ball your team together and throw them at each other, and that's kind of what happens. So I love it.
Yeah, I said this last night on Heroes Hype, but the reason I really love this map is for kind of that reason, is that you can really do whatever you love most on this map. You can choose to really focus on the Immortals' health, you can choose to really focus on team fighting, you can choose to focus on stealth and laning, and you can use any of those things to your advantage. And of course you have to do everything at least in moderation, but I like that this map is kind of exploring that element of Heroes, which is that every battleground, or every battleground. See, this is what Heroes is doing to me. They want me to call it a battleground, and this battleground is called Battlefield. So, Blizzard, please. Blizzard, please. I'm just saying. Anyways, this battleground really emulates that the most, I think, out of any map. Where, and that's why I always say I like Blackheart's Bay, which is not a very popular thing to like. But the same kind of principle for me applies here.
Yeah, I really love the strategy between trying to decide between defending your Immortal and attacking theirs. And there's so much that comes into that, whether your team is going to be better at burning down the Immortal than theirs, whether they got a head start or you did, how many heroes you have versus them, what level you are versus them. It's such an amazing, like so much goes into that decision of what to do there. And the way that part is set up to, there's so many stealth areas where you can kind of sneak around, and the way the Mortals switch places as well makes it a little more difficult depending on those positionings in both of those sections of the fight. So everything about it I just think is amazing.
Yeah, plus, like, thematically, my goodness, does this map look amazing. Hands down, the best looking map that we have in the pool thus far. Yeah.
I was so shocked because the first time I went in, I had seen pictures of it, so I knew that there was the Hell's side and the Heaven side. But then, like, how the map kind of shifts as you push the lanes, that there's more Hells or more Heavens, I geeked out hardcore about that.
Yeah, it was really good. The catapults too.
Yeah.
That a lot of
angel sleds.
Crystal laser ship.
Angel sled. Bing bing.
Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool that we're starting to get more themed mercenary camps too, which is something that's really neat, and seeing them change up a little bit. First we got that with the boss that was on Sky Temple, and now we're starting to get a little bit more too, not just dressing them up as pirates or something else. They're actually changing, which is really neat too. What do you guys think of the new mercenary camps?
I think they're good. I think they provide the right amount of pressure on the map that you kind of like look for. I think if they just put straight siege giants, it would be a little bit too strong probably on the map, just because of how much fighting there is in mid. So like, you just put those out there and you're like, all right, well now we got siege giants and now we are guaranteed a tower as long as we go pressure their Immortal. And it's like, okay. But the other ones, like they're harder to take, at least early game, and they still do a proportionate amount of damage. So I think it's a really good call.
That and pairing it with the mechanic might be, because it's not like on Haunted Mines where it always goes down the other lane than what your golem is, but like that's not always the case for this map. So that might be something that they probably looked at and said, this is going to be a little tricky to balance.
I like that those two siege ones are sort of neutral, and then the ones that are closer to your bases are the bruisers, the shaman, I think what they are, with the wolves. So that's cool too. And My favorite thing about this too, which is really strange, but they reward you for winning the immortal battle with 2 health globes. I know it's kind of crazy, but sometimes when you've got the conjurers or regen master, you don't want to be leaving lane, and I like that they still reward you for being out of lane by giving you 2 of those, which is really awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely cool. I know originally when the fight ended, both of those globes could be picked up by either side, so it like created even more fighting. It was a cool idea. So
I've only ever spawned, I think, once on the Hell's side. I'm almost always on the Heaven side. Do you think that's related to my overall good versus evil quotient in life?
probably, yeah. That sounds like it's a direct
Totally.
for
Yeah.
everything. Yeah,
I think so. I think that's probably
Heroes
right.
is just judging people now.
Yeah.
Just log in, you know if you're naughty or nice. That's how it works.
They have like a special plug-in for your mouse that like reads your fingerprints and determines how many good or bad deeds you've done based on.
I
Yeah.
think that's probably only on the Mac client if you have the
Right.
iWatch.
Yeah.
iWatch.
Well, we certainly don't want to forget the Butcher, who is the new hero for the Eternal Conflict. Anything else on the map we want to talk about, or any questions from you, chat? Do let us know if you have any questions that you want us to answer. Anything else from you guys?
There is one thing. We're gonna get another map that has a similar tile set.
Oh,
So that's gonna happen. So if you've already liked this map, there's gonna be more coming in. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, actually though, like I was assuming that we would see more with like the Luxor tile set. That's what it's called, right? From Sky Temple.
Yeah.
And we haven't
Luxoria,
yet.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't surprise me, but actually I was going to talk about this when we were talking kind of about siege giants and stuff, that I'm wondering whether this indicates a departure from some of the consistent things we've seen in Heroes, where before it was like siege giants are just on every map, bruisers are just on every map. Sometimes they wear cute stuff, sometimes they have other friends, but it's usually the same things. On this map, we don't see a lot of familiar faces, so I'm kind of wondering if we are going to see these battlegrounds become more and more individualized. So that's a roundabout way of asking, what new map?
The
So
roundaboutist way.
yeah, right. So Blizzard is they've gone on to say that they're using this tile set that they developed for at least one more new map. They haven't said what the objective is or what it's going to look like, anything like that, but they've definitely said that that's the case. And additionally, kind of what Anna was talking about, they've also said that they're trying to, or I'll rephrase it like this: Heroes, to a lot of people, even though the game's released, they're like, oh yeah, they're like, this game's solid. It's good all around. And like it's just a great game. But the developers will look at it and be like, we're only still testing things. Like Siege Giants being on multiple maps was just testing things. Like the original talent on some of the heroes still have the same icons and stuff like that. Like they're still developing this game. They're still building it. It's just at a point where they can push it out to the masses. So yeah, I think that the current standard that we have in the game is probably going to change. And I do expect to see a lot more diversity just kind of across the board. So that's something I'm definitely looking forward to. And we'll see where they go with the new tile set that they're bringing out and whatever comes next.
Yeah, I mean, they've already started to do that, some even with talents too, right? Like improved ice block and Rainer's recruitment. They are taking those standardized talents and starting to make them more adjusted to the actual hero, so they're still thematically the same. So it makes a lot of sense that they would start doing that with other aspects of the game as well.
It's interesting because Heroes has traditionally been this game that is touted as being so easily picked up by the layperson. You know, it has a low barrier of entry, and I wonder as those things become more and more specialized if that raises the barrier of entry a little bit, because if I don't get to see the same talent on 5 different heroes and they all have individual talents, and I don't see the same mercenaries on each map and I have to learn each one individually, not that that's a good or bad thing, but I wonder if that's going to change the character of the game a little bit.
I think it will. I think in time it will. You look at, say, direct competitors like League or Dota, and both of those have 100+ heroes, whatever you want to call them, champions. And that alone is a barrier of entry that's just crazy. You need to know 400 abilities. That's a crazy number. Then you add on the whatever interactions the items in the game have. And it's kind of the same way with heroes, only we're still sub 40 for heroes. So as time goes on, I think it's reasonable to assume that the barrier of entry is going to go up, and it's not going to be at the rate that other games are, I guess I would say. Pretty much anybody can jump and say, hey, you know what? I don't have to farm. I don't have to do anything. I could just read through what I have. I have 4, sometimes 5 options per level or per tier. Fine, sign me up. Let's do that. And then as you go along, you just learn more and more and more. So I'm not worried about that at all, and I definitely encourage it as we move forward.
Awesome. Well, I totally agree. And moving forward, of course, we are in the Eternal Conflict. Kind of, I've heard it referred to as an expansion or an event.
Yeah, they call it an expansion.
Yeah.
Expansion,
So
yeah.
the Eternal Conflict event, and we're going to be in that for a while, so it's all going to be Diablo themed things. And of course, the other Diablo themed thing that I have been loving this week so far is the Butcher. The Butcher.
I knew you'd love him.
I know, you were totally right. Yeah,
I always tell.
And it's weird because I am totally skewed towards aesthetically pleasing heroes to me, and it took me a while even to get into Stitches because he was just like, ugh, gross. But he he's kind of funny, so I can kind of get to love him. It could kind of be a cute gross. The Butcher is flat out scary, ugly, and evil, and so it was funny how quickly I went from, I don't know if I want to play this guy, to, more fresh meat, gross, yes, awesome. Like, just like over.
That's weird that you.
I know. It worked. It worked on me.
I think, well, yeah, I mean, it's very cool to have another melee assassin in, is what I would say. Definitely more your playstyle than mine, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think. I think we'll talk a lot more about his abilities and talents in the play session, but general thoughts so far on maybe how you're liking playing him, what you think he might do to change the scene, and what, or if he will at all. What do you think?
Sure. So I'm going to put Kubi on the spot because he was talking to me about this earlier and now he can't get out of it. So Kubi, what do you think about his trait and the interaction that it has with kind of his whole gameplay?
Wow. Okay. All right. So I thought on the trait initially, like I was like, okay, it's just like a neat thing that they threw in, the whole gathering the fresh meat. Mm-hmm. I thought that was fine. And then like the more I was playing with it, I was like, well, this like doesn't really feel like you interact with it all that much. So I wasn't really enjoying it so much because like you could collect them so fast. Like as a trait itself, I'm okay with it, but I don't know. I think that because we were sort of discussing like, do you make it like more time to collect to get up to that point, so you feel like you need to farm more, but then that's not really that fun for a melee assassin. So I don't know.
You just feel it's not rewarding?
It's not really so much it's not rewarding, it's just that you like quickly get up to those stacks and then you like forget about it. Like you don't really interact with the trait too much, whereas like other heroes, you're like, like we mentioned this, like Brightwing, it's like you need to be positioning yourself all the time to make sure you're getting the most out of that trait. But there's a couple talents that interact with it, and then as soon as you get taken down and get back up, it's like you collect for a minute and then it's like, well, you kind of forget that you have it, I guess. So trait wise, the rest of his kit is a lot of fun, and I've been very much enjoying that. Just seeing the combinations that people are coming up with, making use of both heroics. Like immediately out of the gate, everyone was like, oh my god, the post hitch.
Lamb to the slaughter?
Yeah. So like,
Lamb to the slaughter.
Give me a little bit for the name. But,
everyone's right.
But everybody was like, no, that's going to be the heroic. All of us, like, as soon as it came out, it was like furnace. Everybody's running furnace all the time. So it's cool to see that immediately that changes.
Well, that furnace plus ruthless onslaught, right?
Yeah.
And then you can like hamstring. Yeah. And that was killing me. That killed me like 7 times on
yeah, it's
very embarrassing.
It's all right. It's learning curve or circle, I guess. But it's definitely a fun play style. It definitely it kind of rewards risky play, but at the same time you get really punished because once you're in there, you can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
His escapability is zilch.
Yeah, you're in and you're going, and that's it. It's one way direction.
Yeah, that once you start that charge, you will just keep charging.
It's
for like forever until you get to them, and it's not like Judgment, right? Like, if you can get out of their vision, then it kind of cancels it. But I feel like it's it doesn't do
You
that.
just go. Yeah, you just
And
go.
you get faster.
Yeah.
It's like my hero spirit animal. It's like you go, you commit, you keep fighting until you die or you manage to steal their health. The end.
That's pretty much him in a nutshell.
I remember when they first brought the hero out and they were like talking about it, and they're like, we wanted to get this feeling of you see the butcher and you ask, am I dead?
Yeah.
Just because you see him like at the edge of your vision. And like I actually feel like they did a great job implementing that, because I do get that feeling when I'm playing. Like, oh okay, all right, well, easy guys, like just I'll back up behind my gate, it's cool. We don't need to
Yeah, I wonder if I had an idea on the trait, because I did feel similarly. I felt like if I were dying more frequently and losing my stacks and having to fill them back up, that could be something. But I don't want to die more frequently, and I don't necessarily think he needs to be too much squishier, especially without escapability. But if they maybe made the trait diminish, like decrease over time, like I get up to 25 and then it kind of leaks out, you know what I mean? Which kind of
yeah,
is,
like you're getting hungry.
yeah, it's kind of thematic, so I digest a little bit and then I need
Stamina.
more fresh meat, which I think, so that's my suggestion. Blizzard gods, are you listening?
But that would at least like get you to the feeling like where you're interacting with the traits.
Right.
Yeah.
Like hatred, right? For Vala. Those stacks eventually go away.
Yeah.
And I like the like constant hunger thing. That's very thematically evil and scary, which is all of his stuff. So.
Well, we'll get to see Steve play the butcher in our play session, and we'll even have a build that you guys can try out yourselves if you've picked him up or when his first free week comes around. But shall we move on talking about a little bit of the changes that happened along with this?
Definitely.
Yeah, I just wanted to just really quickly, before we move on, so that people, if they have not played Butcher yet, could we just really quickly go over his abilities and what they each are?
Oh yeah, I figured we'd do that in the play session.
Oh, you're right.
now too.
We can do that because we'll go over the build.
Okay,
Totally.
does that sound good?
Yeah, we'll do it later.
All right.
Good call, Gilly.
Thanks, friend. Okay, so there were a bunch of changes to a lot of the standard talents that we kind of mentioned earlier. I mean, I'm just going to list all the ones that changed. Blood for Blood changed, Conjurers and Regen Master changed, Spell Shield changed, Protective Shield also changed, Promote and Venom changed as well, and then Vampiric Strike. So you guys know Vampiric Assault probably. Now there's another one, Vampiric Strike, that's been added to Tyrael and Zeratul. Anybody else? Is that a two?
No, I think just those two. Yeah.
Okay. So there were a bunch of changes to those. We definitely recommend checking out the patch notes for those. What do you guys think of some of these changes? What ones do you think were the biggest?
Are we talking about general stuff or what you just said?
For the talents. For these like general talents.
Yeah, Blood for Blood's definitely the biggest one, I think. The Envenom change is going to hurt a little bit for the burst, but I think it will still be used on those heroes that pick it up. But Blood for Blood is, I think for the reasons that those heroes grab it, it's probably better. Actually, I know it's better. Because more often than not, you're grabbing it for that sustain, that survivability, and you're going to get more out of it now.
They dropped the slow too, right?
The slow is off,
Yeah, that was another really big thing. Is like, if you, like, especially with Tyrael had it, right? So
Tyrael had it, Noob had it.
So like you could initiate, and like say like you judgment in, then you Blood for Blood, and like not only are they stunned, but they're also automatically slowed, and then you smite and you speed up your team as well.
Yeah.
And then like you Q and you body block them, and like whoever you pick is having an awful day. And now that one little part is now missing, so it is a very significant change. I would say the Venom change is a little bit bigger than you gave it credit for. Just time it.
I think
Because like an extra like double amount of time to get
no, it's definitely a big deal. Yeah. But I think the heroes that were taking it, who for the most part was Jaina, Kerrigan, and Sylvanas, given the options that are on those tiers still, I think they're probably still going to grab. Maybe the exception is Jaina.
Kerrigan might change. Maybe.
I don't know. So,
oh my god.
People are now dead. So
we're having dog probs today. Hashtag dog
Butcher
probs.
just came in, so.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Sorry. The dog problems are real. Yeah, I would say Promote's a really huge deal too, along with those, in that basically like the damage and increased health, or like reduced damage, I guess, from non-heroic targets are still basically the same. So other minions and structures, but they're like still the same when it comes to heroes. So you can still clear the lanes with the same effectiveness, but They just push by themselves a little bit stronger. So, and that's been changed. And of course, it was removed from Brightwing. Did it get removed from other ones too?
I don't know. I don't play enough support to know.
I think it was just Brightwing.
I just pulled it off. Yeah, so probably the only hero that's going to continue to take it is Asmodan, I would say, for the reason that he can just throw it across the map when he knows he can get some value out of it. Otherwise, it maybe would have been used on Brightwing, but of course they took it off because if she has that mobility, otherwise you need some way to get yourself across the map very quickly. And that's really just Asmodan.
The other thing too is that we didn't really see it run, at least in competitive play, we didn't really see it run as like a single promote. It was always like 2 or more.
Yeah.
Pass and Brightwing,
like heroes were picked up because they had promote and they also did other stuff, and now they just don't have that. So even just taking that off of like one of them cuts that strategy down really hard. So yeah, it's a big hit, but I think it's one that pretty much everybody was asking for.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's going to be much backlash on that.
No, for sure. Yeah, like we said, a lot of changes to talents, guys, but in the interest of time, we want to go ahead and hop into probably the hero changes. Any other thoughts on talent changes before we do that?
No, that's it. I think there's not really much else.
Yeah.
That was like massive.
Alright.
The regen and conjurers were just number changes that they're better late game now, right?
Yeah, better late game, worse early.
Yeah.
So I think the heroes that took it will still take it.
Yeah.
I also like the protective shield, now that I'm looking at this, that it's targets maximum health, so it's not going to be as effective like on the squishier heroes
Right.
as it was because it was just a base number.
It's also easier to respond to.
Yeah.
So you're like, I have to do this much to them, and I can do this much to them. Done.
Right. All right, well, we'll switch to hero changes then. Let's see the order I put them in. All right, first off, Illidan.
Gigantic.
What happened to Illidan?
Yeah, really small. The metamorphosis nerf was just absurdly large, I would say. A lot of people
not large. Huh.
Yeah, okay. The door's out.
Fireworks.
Yeah, a lot of people would take it just for like a get out of jail free card and kind of a turning the tides talent, where it's like, oh, our team's not really doing so hot, but they all just clumped. Let me just metamorphosis on them, and it would drop a sizable amount of damage, even though people say it's negligible, it's not, and give him a crazy amount of health. So the change to it was, I think it's okay, but it definitely knocks him down quite a few pegs.
Does this mean we might see more of the hunt?
No, we'll see Butcher. That's what
That's fair.
Somebody asked the other day on one of the forums. They were like, "So what's the viable play with Thrall and Illidan now?" And I just responded with Butcher. That's it. You just play Butcher because he's just better. But Hunt, yeah, you could possibly make a case for it. I don't know. The issue with competitive play is that people just know how to respond to it. Like if you have any support, they're just gonna wait for the Hunt to come in, and then they'll immediately stun him or shield the target, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then because everybody takes bolt, you could just bolt out of it, and it doesn't even hit you. So that's
Poor
my.
Illidan.
So you guys think we're just gonna not see Illidan at all, huh?
No, we'll see.
He'll get used some. I think we even saw him play yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seen it in Maelstrom at least was still running him. So I think there will be some more specialized cases for depends on the player. And we know the fan really loves Illidan, so
Yeah.
we probably will continue playing him, unless for some reason there's some huge shift in the meta that makes it so that you can't play the hero anymore. But I don't really foresee that happening, at least for the time being. So I think we will still see him some, just not like first pick bannable
Right.
material necessarily.
Which I think is good, because he's been on that. I think he, of all heroes, I think he can take a nerf like this and still be reasonable,
Yeah.
And I think you want a hero that's reasonable more than a hero that's like, oh, we always have to get him or deny him, otherwise we're in big trouble,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of, so you make a good point. There weren't, a lot of people would say that Chaos is nearly unreasonable, at least once he gets to 16, and there weren't changes to him. What do you guys think about that?
I think Kale is in a good place, and so kind of underlying thing here. I believe that nerfs almost should never happen, and everything should just kind of get buffed to bring it up.
it's definitely more fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely creates a more fun scenario. Granted, there are obviously times when nerfs are needed, So I'm not saying never do anything like that, but I think if your design philosophy is to make everybody hit with like Nerf bats, it's not a good idea. But that's that. I have to let my cat out, so I'll be right back.
Midnight. It's like a zoo show today.
Yeah,
We're all
God,
about
the pets.
all about the animals today.
Paula.
It's the star of the show right here.
All right. Well, so I agree. I think that Kael'thas is fun. I like the idea that he kind of puts a game on a timer when you're playing against him. Because that you have to know, okay, once he hits 16, then we've really got to spread out. We've got to watch out for the flame strike, and I like that because it's mitigated by the fact that he's so darn squishy, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that's what those kind of heroes are supposed to be. They're supposed to be super scary damage-wise. Yeah.
The only issue that I have, and a lot of people, and even I would imagine Blizzard has, is that their design philosophy on talents is that there should never be one that's just always picked. Obviously, if it's an ultimate, it can kind of go that way. Or heroic, sorry. And I'm not a caster. But having a talent on the level 16 tier and it being always ignite, like I've played like 150 games of Kael'thas. I couldn't tell you any other ability that's on that tier, just because it's like, all right, pick an ignite every time.
Yeah.
So I think the
that giant shield.
Oh yeah, arcane, whatever it is. I don't know, like that to me is the one thing that kind of doesn't fall in line with the game, but the rest of it, I'm on board that he should be a huge damage.
But from your standpoint that you were saying earlier, like just buff up those other talents on
give it something else. Yeah, give him something else that is worth considering instead of just being like, it's just gonna go away.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, I feel like they would need, if they wanted to change that, they would need to buff up the other things, because if they nerf that, I feel like his viability would really go down.
It's certainly possible. Yeah.
I'd argue that he would be very bad.
I mean,
not like completely useless, but I think he would be in that tier of heroes that are just like, probably just.
I think he would probably just switch to be like an early game pressure, like roaming around with the gravity build. I could see that.
Gravity build's definitely not bad before level 16.
The flamethrower build. So, but I don't know. Whatever. There's other changes.
Yeah. I was actually really, really excited about the targetable heroics. The fact that you can now retarget Water Elemental, Ultralisk, Draken Laser Drill. Is that all of them? But
Nazebo can use the slam. You can't move it, but you can tell it when to slam. Thank God.
I mean, yeah, so I was excited about that. And along the same vein, something we actually don't have written down, but that I was really excited about, just as a really minor annoyance I've always had, is the Mutalisk from Zagara. How, it just goes away after it manages to do its one little task. So it's,
I killed my target.
Yeah. I'm alive, I'm dead. So that also was something that was really exciting for me. And I think that makes those heroics more attractive, and in some cases they don't need to be, but especially for Ultralisk, I think I was really excited about that.
Yeah, that one definitely makes sense. The only one I don't actually like is the Water Elemental change.
Yeah,
because
it's so good.
It slows. That's the problem.
It slows and it has splash. It has a splash slow, and it's like, oh god, how do I?
Yeah.
So that one I could have dealt with not being retargetable, but
from a consistency standpoint, they kind of have to do it for all of us. So,
for now,
that's a tough.
That's interesting. I wonder, do you think that has any relation to the fact that they removed sprint for Jaina?
It could be. I think the removal of sprint was probably more in line with just like I was talking to Johnsy, one of the devs, about it, and I was like, don't you think that it kind of breaks the archetype of the high damage dealer, low risk on Jaina, because she has, not only does she have sprint, but she also gets bolt at 20, and no other like high damage dealer, like Nova doesn't have that. I don't know, Thrall doesn't have that either. But like these heroes that are just pure damage dealer, that's their purpose. She just casually was like, I just don't want to be here, and boop. So it kind of broke consistency. And then his response was, well, around 16 and 20, we kind of let that go. But yeah, 13 is a little early. So I was like, all right, yeah.
That makes sense.
I like that it's amount of damage that you can deal like burst wise. It's like a indirect correlation to the amount of escape that you can have.
Yeah, that's how it should feel. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right. Looking at this, Sylvanas. I'm gonna skip Murky a little bit. We'll go to Sylvanas, who had Wailing Arrow damage reduced. It still silences, obviously, but huge buffs to Possession. What do you guys think? Is it possible? Maybe competitive pot? No, already shaking the head.
No, I don't see it.
It's such a weird position.
There needs to be like a lot more significant of a buff to go with that to make it. What does she have in team fights?
Well, so
otherwise, if you don't take Wailing Arrow,
so like
Cold Embrace.
yeah, that's
yeah,
that's it. Like on a single target, it's like ugh.
But I think if you're taking Possession, you're not thinking about saying like, okay, we're gonna have this ult and it's gonna do stuff, and then we're also gonna team fight. It's gonna be more of like, we're just gonna play like the harass game, and
yeah, that works to an extent. But...
yeah, so like the one map that it might work on is Battlefield now, Battlefield of Eternity, where you just take like a whole wave, right, and you send it, and then you also just send your Sylvanas off to go capture the bottom camp, and then you just stall around your immortal, you just let it go, and with that, you build up this huge push, and then you do stuff like what Corey said. Games are often not won off of a minion wave; they're won off of a giant team fight.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a heroic for that, it's going to make winning those team fights a lot harder.
Yeah. Barristan apparently agrees with you guys. I do
very emphatically believe. Yeah. I was gonna say I've been a if not a believer, at least a hoper in Possession since the beginning. I like the idea of it because, again, I like when you have choices of how you can, completely oppositely use a hero. And I think, like you said, I like the idea of a team being like, fine, kind of like the Abathur effect, we'll just be 4 in a team fight, and we're going to have this other hero that's going to do something we see as just as valuable somewhere else on the map. And I see teams picking Sylvanas with that in mind, but like you said, when it comes to a team fight, she has to be there to help them out with Wailing Arrow. So I think you're right that there's just something that needs to push it over the edge, whether that's something that will help with team fight somewhere else, or whether that's something that makes the push so strong that it could pull people out of a team fight. That if she can do that to such an extent that the team would the opposing team would have to disengage in order to deal with it right away, then maybe that would balance it out.
I think there's 2 quick things about that. One would be improving the way catapults interact with the game in general. They just die to core because of the way that your minions run in, they all get cleaved down, and then the enemy minions spawn and they kill your catapults. Okay. And then the other thing is if at some point she could use her Possession on her own minions to kind of buff them, that would be a potential thing as well. Like maybe a level 20 upgrade, and it's just we have super these things, and it's god level promote, because again, level 20, you don't have anything in team fights. You need something to put pressure elsewhere, and it just, I don't know, it doesn't. Relying on an enemy resource and then flipping on them is nice in theory, but it's not always there. So even then, the ults might not even be useful. So
I like the idea of it being like a extra strong promote or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but yeah, when you consider what you're sacrificing to do that, that makes it okay.
Yeah, it does that on enemy minions at level 20. Yeah. But if you don't have those enemy minions to use, then you have a useless heroic.
And good luck getting there.
Yeah,
without being at a huge deficit at that point.
Yeah.
So.
All right, well, so we'll stick with the Wailing Arrow then. Anubarak, Beetles, and Locust Swarm were nerfed slightly. They mentioned that it was very slight because they like where he's at. They liked that he was actually being played, but they realized that his win rate was a little strong. Do you think that they brought him right into line with where they're wanting to be, or do you think it was too much, too little?
This is how I want to see Blizzard making changes. Compared to the next hero that we're going to talk about. I think this is the type of thing that they should be slight tweaks at a time. They like how he's playing. They have the Beetle AI working. He feels fun. He feels interactive with the enemy team, your team, etc. So that's the idea, and just slowly drop them down a little bit. Don't do anything too crazy like some of these other heroes. Again,
Be gentle with him.
It's basically overall is just a trade of damage output, but he has a good bit more survivability because a lot of new racks are taking blood for blood at 16 anyway, so you get more HP there. They didn't nerf the amount of HP you get back on Locust Swarm, so that's, you're still in the fight for as long. You're just not doing as much damage. And overall, these are all, I think, fair ways to manipulate the hero to get that sort of balance that they want.
Well, we can talk about the Lost Vikings then, since
Yes,
since you led to them. All right, there was a significant rework for the next few heroes that we're going to talk about, guys. So we're not going to go into every single change for them, but just your thoughts on the rework for the Lost Vikings. So many things happened down to it. Their trait was changed. What do you guys think so far, and how it's going to? Are we going to see them at all?
That's a tough one to say.
Okay.
My gut is no. Not for the time being, at least not for like maybe a month or so. We'll see. I like the idea of what they're trying to do. Like, they know that there's one set build for the Vikings and they wanted to change that. And I'm all with them for that. But the way they went about doing it is so crazy. It's just like, again, we were talking about this, just buff up other stuff so that things are more fun and there's choices, not like, let's just move these two seemingly core abilities on the same button so you have to choose between one or the other. And just... Ugh. That's how I feel.
Yeah. What did we have KO on? We had KO on Brawl with the Blues. That's right. Yeah. And he was like, the Lost Vikings. Yeah. He was pretty sad about those Vikings. We've seen people trying to play them a few times. We've seen a couple play agains now. We saw... Was the Eric build before or after the patch, Anna, when we casted that crazy Eric build?
I think it was after. I feel
there was one that was run yesterday by 2Arc. I saw multiple.
It was the Eric build, yeah.
For 1 and 4. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. But if you guys remember, like when the Vikings were put out initially, it took 2 months before any teams were running the Vikings. It was a while. It took a while.
They were playing them like here and there, but it wasn't to the level that we saw.
Before the patch. So maybe that's something that we'll see now. Maybe it'll take teams a couple months to adjust to the changes and figure out where he fit or they fit in the meta. But not something I don't think we'll see anytime soon.
I mean, it's those specialists, right? Those are definitely the most difficult ones to try to fit into the compositions and the meta and that type of thing, making sure they're not overly strong with the way that they're inherently supposed to be built. So hopefully this won't be the last we've seen of Eric and Balog and Olaf.
What do you guys think, for people who may not be familiar with the Lost Vikings or don't play them, what do you think is the most significant change, or how would you summarize the overall theme of the change for the Lost Vikings? Why are you feeling so sad about it?
You want this one?
Nope.
Okay. I think that the big thing is Norse Force and Spin to Win. So Norse Force being that giant shield that they were taking, it was a 16 that they were getting at, and then Spin to Win is like their big damage, and one of them is like a big escape or like way to like survive and sustain throughout the team fight. So having both of those on the same talent tier like has a huge impact on how they're just able to approach team fights. It's like, well, we want to be able to go in, do damage, and be safe, and then go into the boat. And it just feels like now it's like, well, you kind of want to poke, get in there with Spin to Win, but now you can't because you're not really quite as safe. And it just feels a little weird, maybe counterintuitive in terms of like how you want to try to play them. At least that's the feeling that I'm getting.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Well, we have a lot of other heroes with significant reworks, and one of them I know is Brightwing, Gilly.
My baby.
How are you feeling about it?
I'm actually pretty excited about the possibilities for her builds. She's got a lot of different possibilities, which are pretty cool. She lost Promote, but she's already kind of a beast in lane anyway, so it makes sense. She's just less of a beast now because of the fact, just solely because she can wait until last minute and then leave, or everyone else kind of has to, start leaving for those objectives earlier. But I like that she's got a straight healing build. She also, the phase shift build could be pretty cool, and I've been trying to mess with that. I've even already developed damage builds for both Brightwing and Malfurion, because that's always the first thing I try to do is like break the supports when there's a big change like this. So Twilight Dream build, I was rocking that with Malfurion. That was super fun to do with Malfurion. But yeah, I feel okay with her. What do you guys think about Brightwing?
I think a lot of people, when the PTR first dropped, they were like, "Oh my god, she's so good now!" Like they were freaking out. They were like, "Oh, she's broken. Like we need to find a way to like deal with this." And they were taking the teleport talents where you like when you heal, your teleport was off.
Reduce cooldown.
Yeah.
Gets reduced cooldown and everything. And so I think that like that kind of reaction is a good thing most of the time, where you have people saying like, "Hey, this hero was already really good, and this change is also really good," and like it's enough that it causes them to overlook any minor nerfs to the point where they're like, "This is still playable. It's just a little bit different," and I think that's a really good place to be. So to me, she seems like she's in a good spot. Malfurion kind of the same way. He doesn't really get seen in NA as is, anyways.
A little bit. He's picking up a bit more steam.
He's starting to get seen, but
he's cleansed now.
Yeah,
that's cleanse.
Yeah, as does Rhaegar.
Yeah, Rhaegar does as well. So
I'm very happy that all of those got the cleanse put on, so it wasn't like we have to fight over Uther because of the cleanse, which is really nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about Malfurion as well. I think he's got a lot of different variety of builds as well. I feel like they've just really upped the variety in builds for them, and then as well made it so that there's a lot more options for cleanse. Rhaegar, I feel like I love that shield at level 1, that talent. I think it actually is great with the Butcher.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you guys think? Do you think all Brightwing, Rhaegar, Malfurion are all still pretty viable as they were before?
I'd say that the 4 big healers are pretty close in line. Whereas before, it really kind of felt like Malfurion was like a bit below the other 3. Definitely Uther and Brightwing, like you said, they were fought over for their cleanse. Lily still needs some help.
Well, she got some help.
Well, yeah.
The days.
Great.
Yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to mention, actually, the days too. But any other thoughts on the healers before we do that?
I think that it feels like they're in a good spot right now. I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of competitive play yet, so we'll see how that kind of pans out in terms of especially drafting and how that affects drafts and compositions. But on a surface level, it looks good. I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
And a new support sometime in the future.
Yeah.
Monk.
So that's good too. Desperately needed, in my opinion. So that's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna have an area of effect cleanse.
Calling it?
No.
Just break the game.
It's gonna be his mantra. You can pick a level 1, you activate it.
Level 1?
Boom. It's gonna be there. That's his talent, dude. That you pick that level 1, and that's his trait for the rest of the game.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's trait. Yeah, he's gonna be interesting to see how they implement it. But that's a cool concept of having, something that you pick at the very, very beginning to just your trait in such a drastic way. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Good stuff.
Well, okay. Last things before we go to our play session. Stuns versus daze. Blizzard said that some hero abilities were unintentionally stunning. They were things like Emerald Wind or Frag Grenade, and so they've made the distinction between stunning and dazing. So those abilities now are just dazing, which means that they will stop something that is being channeled that you have to stand still for, like Ravenous Spirit, Sanctification, I think, as well. But then things that can be channeled while a hero is moving, it won't interrupt those. So there's the Jug of 1,000 Cups for Lily.
Yes. Yep. It's definitely
You got him.
Viable. Top tier. It's definitely something that I'm sure a lot of people were looking for, like especially Sonya players, because I mean, God help them in the first place. But they
are there Sonya players? Like, do they exist out there somewhere in the corners, shivering?
This guy plays Sonya, but now that Butcher's out, he's probably gonna disown her. So she, like her whirlwind, like any like casual extra wind that came by, just stopped. Like, all right, well, there goes my entire sustain, I guess. But now you actually have to like stun her. You have to use an ability that stops it. So that's really nice. Maybe we'll see Cast Aside come back, because that would be awesome.
Come on. Please.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Think about
thanks.
it.
Yeah.
That's good.
Cereal.
That's good because it's not
They
dark
s-
sun.
Well, they said
That
the
was one
reason that they took it out though is because they couldn't balance it with numbers. But maybe I guess that doesn't matter anymore. Maybe they.
Yeah, I
figured
mean,
it
it used to do so much for such little cost. Like you're just like, oh, it's on this tier. Why not? Like, there's no real other good options.
out.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
And then it's just all comes down to being like, okay, I have an on command stop whatever I want.
Mhm.
I'm already gonna use Smite. It's not like I'm not gonna use his ability. I'm gonna use it for either damage or speed. Now I get an extra thing on it. So I don't know. Maybe
I wonder
we'll
if
see
that
some
plus
of
battle momentum would be too much, and they removed battle momentum and gave back cast aside.
I don't know. I don't
Maybe
really
that's the
see
way to-
Tyrael as being like so godly that you can't have both. I would like to see them both implemented and
And
then
then try
make the
it out,
decision.
Yeah.
But
Me
I mean,
too, but I'm selfish.
as it stands right now, I don't really think that they need to make that immediate switch. But either way, I would like to see it come back because it was awesome to see him play.
Yeah, there was a lot of cool plays you could make with it.
Yeah. I loved Cast Aside. I thought it was awesome. But I understood. But now
It is
you've
hard
got
to
me
separate
hopeful.
ourselves from like, I want my favorite hero to be really, really good, and I want the
Yeah.
game to be balanced. Like,
Tyrael and Brightwing don't need any other heroes in the game.
yeah.
That's fine.
Maybe a few others. All right, and then finally, there was a little bit of a change to blinds. Something like Johanna and Lily did have as well, in that they changed it so it's duration of time versus number of auto attacks. So it really kind of punishes those who auto attack very quickly more than the slower auto attack heroes.
Rip Tychus.
Rip Tychus.
It hurts Illidan pretty bad.
Illidan, yeah, that's who I was thinking too. So poor Illidan, not just his metamorphosis was hurt, he also is blinded for
He
much
doesn't
more
have
effect.
eyes.
That's
Just
true,
saying.
right? Doesn't make a difference.
He's got magic eyes. Prescription.
I thought maybe it was something like echolocation, like Daredevil
Like
or whatever.
a
And
like
so
a
maybe
dolphin. That was
yeah.
a dolphin noise, in case you couldn't tell.
I was thinking Daredevil. Dolphin also works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
either one.
He does actually have like magic eyes, just for the record.
Right.
That's not. That doesn't fit with
It's
our
like my
zoo themed
favorite lore
episode.
thing in all of Blizzard, everything. So
Really?
Oh yeah, without question. I have the book over there. Like I got everything.
The book.
Ooh.
What?
Yeah, I love
I
it.
can see it.
He's awesome. What he is. Check it out. It's a good book. But yeah, so that's that. That's
That is.
all the changes.
There were a few other hero changes, guys, but that was just kind of the highlights for you because we do want to make sure we have time for the play session. But shall we move into that? Any final thoughts from anybody before we do that?
I guess I wanted to ask too, just like overall, your overall happiness and excitement with this patch too.
Okay. For me, I don't really. It wasn't. It's hard to say because like, if we're only talking about like changes to the existing stuff, then it was kind of whatever for me. But obviously, like the new map and new hero, I'm like, yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But like a lot of my stuff didn't really get changed, and a lot of the stuff that I felt was really annoying didn't get changed either. So it's the whole game as a whole became better, I think, in general for people. But for me personally, it just felt all right. Like I wasn't hyped about it, but I wasn't certainly against it.
That's
Yeah,
good. I think.
I'd have to echo that too because I play a lot of Warrior. That's like probably more than half of my games are played on that class. So they didn't make a whole lot of changes to the Warriors in general. So it's mostly if you're a support player, like this is a big patch for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, like you said, having the new content with the Butcher and the map out is going to be really awesome and it'll be fun to play with. So I'm excited about that.
Totally.
I have one more change that we didn't talk about.
Oh,
Yeah.
They put Diablo in the game still for some reason. I'm not really sure why he's here.
That's true.
Do you guys remember when Diablo became viable and we were like, guys, Shamtu!
All of 2 weeks.
Shamtu! Play Diablo! And now he's
Yeah,
gone again.
Poor guy.
I miss Diablo.
Yeah, Anna loved playing Diablo too.
Diablo
Rockin'
was like
Diablo player.
right when he got nerfed, he was on the cusp of becoming like all-time favorite hero for me. And then he got nerfed and it was like, oh, well,
Oh, that was fun.
bye.
Like the,
It's been a great time.
Do you have the Anna curse where you almost got him to 10 and then just nerf?
Oh, I think I maybe even got that one to 10, but that does happen to me all the time.
Yes.
So
you should just wait and see what all the pro players are complaining about, and then just only play that hero, and it'll immediately get nerfed.
Yeah, you're right.
It'll be like our savior.
You have the power.
You know what? No, actually, I remember now. Diablo, he got nerfed, and I still had like 2 games to get him to 10. So I just was like, fine, I'll just. It's like you know, it was like I broke up with him, but we still lived together, and so it was like this awkward, like we had to wait until we could move out without losing our deposit, and we just like didn't look at each other very much. So I played a couple. Yeah, that's how those last 2 games were. But he was 10. He's 10 now. So.
I actually see a comment in chat from JSoto88 that says, "I miss Arthas. He used to be OP." You can also blame Anna for that one.
I did that one too.
Well. Anna also
me.
cursed Arthas.
Yep. So I'll pick another hero right now. Who should I? You know, let's see.
Don't. No.
I never
Butcher.
got it. Well,
We didn't have a chance with Butcher. We didn't have a chance.
Just go with
I have already been playing him a ton. I don't know.
Oh, there we go, guys.
I'm warning you.
Get
Fair
ready.
warning. Don't get attached. All right. So we do. Speaking of the Butcher, we do have a build from Sia Steve for the Butcher. Shall we talk about that now?
So, what do you mean? Do you
A
want to talk
build.
about the talents like in the game, or
For the play session, we're going to transition into talking about the Butcher and the build that Sia
Yes.
Steve gave us.
should we link it in chat?
Yes, and I will show it on screen as well. I have the
Okay,
link
cool.
for you right here, chat. And you said, Sia Steve, that there were lots and lots of ways to build the Butcher, right?
Yes. Yeah, the build that I linked to earlier today was one that I played when I was playing him internally at Blizzard, and it was super broken. Like I just killed everything. And I tried it again today, and it wasn't so much. So it can work. It certainly can, but it's definitely something changed. And I think the thing that changed was the range on his E. I think they just brought the base down. But either way, it's still okay-ish. But this build is designed to basically pick one assassin or one very squishy target and absolutely ruin their entire day. So that's that if you want to play it that way. There's a couple of other ones that I was trying out today that I really liked, but generally speaking, I'll pretty much always take Lambda the Slaughter because it's just so fun.
It is, isn't it? It's like we've kind of had the furnace type thing before. We had Apocalypse and all that, so that's it's cool. But the Lambda the Slaughter is just it feels so nasty.
Yeah, it's so good. It's like I found the way that I like to play it is I'll target someone and I'll start attacking them, and then when their support comes to help them, I'll just chain them off to the side and I'll switch target. And there's like, oh god,
you have
what do I
to
do?
watch them die.
So,
it's so
that's
evil.
fun. I like doing that. But yeah, we can go over whatever.
Why don't we, because we're going to do this in the play session and we're going to talk about the talents while we're there, but just really quickly, would you mind introducing briefly each of his abilities, the QWE and the heroics?
Yeah, sure. So I guess we'll start trait, fresh meat. Whenever you're around something that dies on the enemy side, minions will drop 1 meat and heroes will drop 3. You can stack up to 25. Each stack you pick up gives you 1% extra damage on your auto attacks, and it's really strong in the late game. So there's that. His Q is called Hamstring, and what it does is it throws out a line, and anybody hit by that line gets slowed and takes damage. The slow decays over time, so as you get hit, it slows you for a significant amount, and then over time it becomes nothing. So that's that. His W is Butcher's Brand, which is a true melee ability, actually. It doesn't even have any range. You have to be on top of the person to cast it. And what it does is it marks the target. Whenever you attack that target, if it's a minion, you regain 75% of the health. Is that what it is? And then if you
100%
if you attack, no, what is it? It's 75% for whatever the target is. Yeah. If the target's a hero, it doubles it, and that's whatever damage you deal. So if I'm dealing 100 damage, I get 75 health back. If it's a hero, I get 150 health back per attack, and that's
Which is awesome.
crazy. Yeah, it's so good, and you can talent that to do all kinds of fun stuff. His E is called Ruthless
Onslaught.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. and that is basically just a charge. It's akin to Tyrell's Judgment, but it's a little bit slower, and it doesn't knock anybody back after you use it. So you hit E, you target a enemy, but it can be a minion, a mercenary, or hero, and you just go charge that enemy, speed up, you become unstoppable. So if you're, say, Malfurion roots you can press E and actually break the roots and run out of them, and chase down the target. And once you hit that target, it deals a small amount of damage and stuns them, and then you go into Heroic Land, where you have Lamb to the Slaughter, which we just talked about. It casts a hitching post in a small area, and if you're standing inside of it, when the arm time finishes, which is 1 second, you'll be chained to it for 4 seconds. If you try to run out of the area where the chain is, it'll just yank you back, and so you just can't leave. And then the last part is Furnace Blast. If you've played Diablo 3, you know exactly what that is. It's an area around him explodes. It does a lot of damage. It pulses 3 times to let you know that it's going to ruin your day. And
you're gonna die.
It's just
You're
pure
gonna
damage,
die.
and you can cast that while you're moving. So if you're running, you press R, it'll start going. If you have your Ruthless Onslaught on somebody, you can press it during that as well. So as you're charging and being a terrifying behemoth, you can just throw up a Furnace Blast on top of it, because who doesn't like that, right? Fire and charging demons, good times.
It's so hard.
It does. It does. It is really brutal.
Well, I'm excited to see that in game, and it is about time that we get to our play session. Any final thoughts that we want to cover before we move on to that side of the show?
No, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Just for, like, you compared the Ruthless Onslaught to Judgment, I think there's a lot less ways to get out of this ability. Like, you can kind of like blink away.
Yeah.
So it's what, Cleanse, VP, and Maw? I think are the only ways.
And also if you go behind like a structure, like if you go behind a wall.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That is true. But
it won't break Nazebo's wall either. It's really funny to see it.
I didn't know that.
If you get like if you're in Nazebo's wall and you ease someone, he'll just sort of like run inside the wall, like back and forth. He's like, I gotta get out. And, so it doesn't break that, but everything else it'll break. Yeah, you can't gravity lapse him. You can't lift him in the air as he's running. He's unstoppable. So it's terrifying. Yep. Yeah.
Indeed.
All right, well, I'm excited to see that in action. We are going to play a custom game with some friends from the community. Sia Steve will play the Butcher, and we will be on the Battlefield of Eternity, so if you haven't seen that yet, you will get to do so really soon. We will go down for a brief break while we gather our friends, and then we will be right back after that. See you guys soon!